Hi everyone, this is Kelly, and I'm sure you're thinking, what is this mess? Well, you can blame this on my friend Bart. I was actually cleaning up some bags that I had hanging on my door, just layers of just different size bags, and my friend Bart had sent me a bag that had, along with a bunch of goodies, including like a birthday presents, Christmas presents, that kind of thing. And I thought I had pulled everything out of that, and then there was a little bag that went with it. There was just one of the things that you sent, and that was hanging on the door. But when I opened it up, there were a couple playing card decks, like this one, and another more regular playing card deck. And I was like, oh my goodness, I forgot that I had left those in there. And I was like, oh, you know what, I need to pull out all my sort of fortune-telling style, cardamancy style deck collection and give a look-see, like do a quick little walkthrough of these sort of different style decks that I have. And then of course that turned into Kelly's brain, which is kind of seeing where these things sort of connected together. And so I thought we'd just take a quick look at what I call cardamancy decks. Now, obviously, all decks that are on pieces of paper, all decks are cardamancy by their very nature of being cards, right? And tarot particularly is cardamancy in that it is a playing card deck that had a triumph or a major arcana placed on it to do a trick-taking game that is still being played, right? So we know that. But in its, I kind of, in my own world, this is Kelly's Head's world, I separate tarot, modern tarot, and oracle as being their thing. And cardamancy to me is the realm of playing cards in the sort of old styled and some modern styled fortune-telling, what I would call fortune-telling style decks. Now, of course, these all came from playing cards. So you can take any deck of playing cards, like this is a deck of playing cards. This is a new modern 50 card, and that's one of the interesting things is there are a variety of different, playing cards don't just come in 52 cards or even 36, right? They come in a variety of different things. And so this, you can see the tarot influence there. But this one just has from aces through to the nines, and then we have 10 as the, page there, or the knave, and then we have like a knight or jack and a king. So we have like a knave, a knight, and a king on those all the way through. I do really love this deck. I wish it had 1 through 10 because I would probably use it a little bit more in terms of cardamancy. But that's a 50 card deck. Of course, this is a modern playing card that I use a lot for fortune telling. So playing card divination is to me at the heart of cardamancy, of how I see cardamancy, which we're going to talk about obviously today. This is which is what started it all, this is a really cool set of playing cards that it gives us a snapshot. They talk about in one side, I do love this little book. If you go from this side, it's one language, and then if you flip it and go from this side, it's in English. But I love what they talk about, or she talks about here, that what we see here is a vivid and witty picture of the year 1799 without our knowing more about his own personality at the date. We don't really know a lot about this artist, but we really get this, and it goes into all of these people and business types of people. Like the Nine of Diamonds is a Scottish Highlander on it, because this card, the Nine of Diamonds, is traditionally known in Britain as the Curse of Scotland. So there's all of this. There's a Jewish peddler here. There are sailors and all kinds of amazing things. But what's interesting is that while there is a playing card in each one of the cards, right, the emphasis is on the personage here, what's going on in the card itself. It is just so cool. And then of course you've got now the head cards are actually more like what you'd see traditional, either as a piece of art or as the artist making it or as somebody looking at it, and so on and so forth. You can see in each of the cards, here we have a sailor. With each of the cards we have, and there's all kinds of great information in the little booklet about who we are, but it is a playing card deck, but the focus is really on London in 1799, which is such an absolutely cool premise. But of course that's playing card, right? This is a reproduction of a German playing cards from 1588. Which is so gorgeous. Like, this is just the colors. It has a suit of books. Like, it just really goes to say, people who didn't think of playing cards or tarot or anything like that as being very illustrated back in the days, just, you know, hasn't taken a good look around them. This is a stunning German reproduction of a German playing card deck from 1588. This is an Il Menigalo deck. I love the Jolly Jokers here that my friend Patrick had sent me. This is a deck from 1877. This kind of has that feel of the Locker, the Artist of the Locker deck, but these are like the full playing cards, but you definitely have these beautiful scenes, and you can see how easy that would be to take in and to be able to read based off of the number, but then also the image of what is going on. I love this one. In this deck. It's really just beautiful. You can see sometimes the numbers are used like that in the collar. These are the diamonds, and you can see it in the collar. You can see it in the wrist there. So it's sometimes worked into the image and then sometimes standing out. It's just absolutely gorgeously done. So again, this is an 1877 deck that you could certainly see being used for divination as well. So we have playing card divination. We know that that is a history, and it continues to be an amazing way to be able to read. We also have, so here we can see some fortune-telling style decks that most people now in the English-speaking worlds are familiar with. So this, of course, is the reproduction of the 1799 Game of Hope, which is our Lenormand deck, right? Now, this is an amazing deck to have, and we have the instructions with it. You could lay this out into a board game to play a board game. It had a French and a German deck one on each side of it, so that you could use it to play those different games. And then it has a little note saying, you know, afterwards you could play a jocular game of oracles and read, you know, each other's fortunes. This is a 36 card deck. It uses the aces and the 6 through 10, and then you have your king, queens, and jacks. So I think everybody's pretty much familiar, whether you read with Lenormand or not. You know, you're now, since the boom and the rising that happened in, you know, 2013, 2014, we definitely saw a boom in Lenormand. Although I've recently realized that there were decks being made in the early 1800s, Lenormand decks in New York and Chicago, due to the German immigrants coming through. You know, we know and love Lenormand. We're starting to know, and certainly I love, Kipper. And so Kipper is a 36 card deck, but it is not associated directly with the playing cards. And that's where you start to see the separation of fortune telling style decks. Some of them are associated directly with playing cards for either for game playing purposes or for divination purposes. And some of them are not, even though they might follow, say, a 36 card deck. So this is a 36 card deck in Kipper, but we don't have direct playing card associations. It's not on a playing card, or a playing card is not on it, but we have a fortune telling style deck with Kipper, with a lot more people than we have with Lenormand, and they each have their own, what they bring to the table. And we see some other ones coming down that 36 card, 32 cards, not connected to playing card decks, we're going to talk about in a minute. So these two I feel like we're at least relatively familiar with. Well, then we have Sibilla decks, which I still think that a lot of people are somewhat familiar with Sibilla decks. I need to, this is showing that this, this is a manufacturer of playing cards since 1790, but I don't know exactly there. I couldn't find any dates on this booklet to get an idea. I need to look this one up to see if I can find out when this particular deck of playing cards was published, because I haven't found any kind of date on this. But this is the Parlor Sibyl, or it talks in there about it being, I think, the Parisian Sibilla. I also saw in there as well. And this is one that you can pick up from Lo Scarabeo, that is called the Sibilla Oracle Cards. That is the exact same deck as this one. And obviously it's smaller. It has it has it in 4 different languages. English is in English is down at the bottom in blue. We also see 2 languages here, with English in the top in blue here. And this definitely has let's see if we can zoom in on that. I know this is so hard to we're just playing here. So we can see that these are actually, I would say, not the same images. They are close. Although I really believe if you look at these faces, the faces are not identical, but they are certainly the same images, just redrawn, is I guess the way that I would put that, if not exact. So I'd like to find a, I would like to find a date on these. Here we have the enemy sneaking up. Here we have victory. Again, very similar, although there's, there's a lighter drawing hand and a different kind of painting style. So whether they maybe took the line work and redid the line work on this newer one, I'm not sure. But there we have hope. There we have faithfulness. A lot of money. We had a little money before. And you can see crossovers into Kipper in a lot of these cards. The Wicked Woman, like, she is super creepy looking. Especially in this one. She looks like a zombie. We have the Thief. We have the Journey, which we see again in Kipper. We have frustration and contrariness. We have the impediment, or the hindrance. Gossiping going on here. Absence makes the heart grow fonder. Reconciliation. Revelations. Important revelation. We have the consultant for the man. You can see that these are numbered differently. I had originally put these in order of the numbers, but they are actually numbered differently. But when you put them in order of the playing cards, they are the same. So that's interesting. It makes you wonder why they changed the ordering of these cards, because this card has it ordered in the playing card suits. Oops, I know I'm out of. You have tenderness, a visit, and so on, right? So the waiting card, you know, we see that with Lenormand. So you can see in these fortune telling, there's crossovers in that. So these two are interesting. Again, these are the same decks. This is obviously a remaking of the same deck, but when they put the number, put it in order, it isn't the same order, but the cards are the same cards here with these two. And there's a lot of similarity with this one, which again looks more modern. This looks like something that you could still get today. And they are not the exact same, but it is similar. It is a 52 card deck. It's beautiful. And you get, some of them end up being the same, some of them are more what I would associate with Sibilla. These are all called Sibillas, right? But I think of these as Sibilla, and you see some crossover between this and this, but they're really beautiful. The artwork on this one is really gorgeous. This does not have any English on it. I need to go through and translate them all. But you have, you know, similar cards, and it is a message there, success, right? So you see similar cards. This almost feels like a mix between what we probably think of as Sibilla and these cards over here. I see a kind of a crossover of all of those. But this looks to me like a more modern deck. Again, I couldn't find on the paperwork a specific, but this is playing cards. It's 52. These are associated playing cards, 52 card decks. These are the same images. This is sort of a cross between what we would think of as Sibilla, I think, in a modern sense. This is a Il Menegalo version of the Sibilla Originale. This was from 1890, Italy. Whoops, as I start to throw it around here. This is the same deck as the Everyday Oracle or the Vera Sibilla Italiano that you can get from Lo Scarabeo again. This is based off of a 52 card deck. So you have the King, the Queen, and then you have 10, 9, or I'm sorry, the King, the Queen, the Knave, or the Jack, and then you have 10 through aces on the cards. And so let me put these like this. I guess I should just, well, here, let's try not to confuse things too much. These, however, are not the same, right? These do not line up with the cards from these decks, even though they do have Sibilla on there, right? So but these you'll see are the same cards, just with, you know, somebody's redrawn the lines, but you can see they're very, very similar. I love that card. These are different artworks, but very, you know, but depicting the same cards. So I'm not gonna go through them all, but you can see they are just redrawings of the same cards. And again, this is a 52 card deck, and that it is associated with playing cards. Now this is also a Sibilla deck. I trimmed this down. I don't remember, you'll have to look it up, This is the Gypsy Oracle cards, or the Sibilla della Zingara. And this is very similar. This is a 52 card deck. I don't know if on the edges it had the playing cards, but the main card image does not have the playing card associations. It does have the titles in English though. And there are a lot of people will say that Sibilla is a more negative system. However, a lot of them are people. Like if you look at this, we have a doctor, a young woman, a child, a sweetheart, pleasure seekers, a lover, a priest, a messenger, a widower, a scholar, an old woman, a servant, a merchant, a lord, a wife. Like these are just straight out people cards. Now obviously you can read these, but they're people cards. We have, a house in the room card, kind of like we have in Kipper. Then we have like happy occasions, wedding, a reunion, constancy, love, consolation, surprise, joyfulness, faithfulness, a gift, fortune. Being in service, I would think, would be a friend would probably be a person, but somebody doing good service, frivolity, which that beautiful butterfly card. We have the soldier, that's another person. The waiting is just that longing card. I guess that could be, I don't see that as being negative. It's just have some patience. Cheerfulness, hope. Then you have some really what are neutral cards to me. Money, journey, thought, letter, conversation. Like these could go either way depending on how you wanted to. And then we have like an enemy, which would still be a person card, but it would be not a positive one. Falseness, despair, prison, malady, sighs, foe, melancholy, death, sorrow, haughtiness, thief, and misfortune. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 cards that are not good things, but out of 52 cards there's 13 that I would see as negative, and then there are what I would guess would be seen as positive, although I think some people would even put money, getting money as being something that's positive. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 that I would see as most likely being considered positive. And then we just have a lot of people, which depending on the situation can go either way, and some other neutral ones. So again, I do think that decks like these fortune telling style decks are seen as if they are overly negative. Yes, they have negative cards. We need negative cards, right? If that's helpful. And so it's actually not skewed to the negative there. So this is the Sibilla della Zingara. I haven't one-to-one compared these, but they're very similar. And again, you can see cards that were in Lenormand. You can see cards that would have been in Kipper. We can see this similar conversation around these cards because they were all kind of popping up in the late 1700s. In the 1800s was this boom of fortune-telling style decks, right? So those are the Sibilla cards. And Sibilla like these two are so interesting to me. I didn't realize that I had these two that were actually the same cards there. And so we have that, and then we have, of course, decks coming out that are sort of mixes and blends of all of the above, like what we'll see here. And I'll show you some modern examples of that in a second. So I don't know why I'm trying to close that there. So when we follow, let me zoom back out here. Ooh. When we follow sort of sorry, I just made some people really nauseous. When we follow Lenormand, right, which is a 36 card deck with the aces 6 through 10 and the kings and the queens and the jacks, right, we actually see some interesting ones that come up. These two are kind of interesting because these are 32 card decks. This is to me one of my favorites. This is a 32 card deck. It has ones and then the aces, and then it has 7 through 10s instead of the 6 through 10s, and they're just beautiful. Now this one's a little different because the people cards are more like people cards. They're not really scenes that are there, and then we have a lot of the scenes that are going on. And then again, when you get to the people cards, they're actually people cards. So that would give you 12 people cards and then things that are going on. They're just really beautiful cards. Here, this is one of my favorite. This is called Le Jeu des Destins Antique. This is a Piatnik, I believe. Yeah, number 1844. Which I would guess is the year, because I think we have, I don't know if that's the year that that came out or not, how that works. But Piatnik does number theirs. And then this one is similar. This is a 32 card, aces 7 through 10, kings, jacks, and queens. But this one's a little bit different in that, and this is called the Antica Sibilla Italiano. My friend Bart sent me, he sent me a lot of these. He finds little treasures on auctions all over. This one has statements or keywords at the bottom, and in the court cards, they are more like the fortune-telling style decks where there are scenes going on in all of the cards. So these feel a little bit more like the Sibilla cards, but it's a 32 card deck there, and obviously in Italian. So we have those smaller cards. This is an interesting one. This is no playing cards on it, but it's a Lenormand deck that's quite interesting, called the Fatima Oracle cards by Lo Scarabeo. Lo Scarabeo puts out a lot of these little decks here, but there's differences on this one. There is a knight. The first card is Knight. A solution, a far-off person inspires new ideas. There is the Viola, which is about detachment. Then there's many that are the same. So here we have like a Sphinx, and of course the letter. We have the man and the woman at different cards. Fish, anchor, and cross. So this has like a variation on Lenormand that's quite interesting. This is called the Fatima Oracle cards. No playing card associations on this deck, and it's a 32 card deck instead of a 36 card. So then we have a sets of cards coming from the line of Lenormand that are similar but not. For example, and these you see as the gypsy fortune-telling cards a lot of times. You'll see the Whitman fortune-telling cards. I believe that was a 36 card deck, but it had some that were from Lenormand, but it had other playing cards or other fortune-telling cards mixed in there as well. The Gypsy Witch cards, I'm not sure when these were first produced. I think I have a walkthrough of these. This has all 36 Lenormand cards minus one. It does not have the cross card in it. And then it has some of the other Whitman fortune cards in here as well, such as the pig and the cat and things like that. I think the cat's in here, but I could be wrong. But anyways, but the numbering is not the same. So if you take a Lenormand card, there's the pig, there's a lion here, here's the handshake card, you have roses, you have wine, you have the rapiers, which are on a lot of old fortune-telling style decks. Yeah, there's the cat card. You have the order card or the honor card, the eye card, flames card, the love amore card. You have a lightning card, broken glass, the railroad. You have sort of a money card, kind of looks similar to a you have a bride, you have a shepherd. But so then when you get into the cards that are the Lenormand cards, they are not the same playing card association, and they are not the same numbering. So they're all there but the cross, but they are not numbered the same, nor are they on the same cards. And so you have several different sort of gypsy style fortune-telling decks, again similar to like the Whitman's fortune-telling card decks that came out. And we can see some modern renditions of that. So if you watch my walkthrough of the Maybe Lenormand, which is a deck I really recommend for new Lenormand readers, has all of the Lenormand cards in the right in numbering, and then it fills in the rest of the 52 card deck with some of those cards from the Whitmans, and there's another one that some of these are based off as well. So you have the handshake card, you have the cat card here, you have the pig card, the rapiers, you have like the broken glass, you have the train card that we saw there, the flames, the amore or the love card, and so you have a modern rendition that has the full Lenormand, but then goes on to fill in from decks like the Gypsy fortune cards or the Whitman fortune cards coming in. So this is really great because this is really easy to come by, and it gives you that sort of full fortune telling style decks that were so popular. And the other one similar would be the Robert M. Place's Hermes playing cards, because that has the same thing. It has a full Lenormand deck, but then it also has like the pig, it has justice here, there's the book that we know and love, but then there's the cat, there's the keep, there's that eye, there's birds, there's fox, there's the moon, there's the child, now we have our rider, we have our ring, there's that amore card here, and so on and so forth. So you see there's a bee there, there's some different ones, there's a candle, but it's that same sort of, you've got Lenormand, but then you also have, there's that lion card there, so you also have sort of that in a easy to get, at least last I checked, these are still in stock. This is a great fortune telling card deck that is both Lenormand but also then fills in the gap of a 52 card playing card. So we can see that sort of trajectory going down. Still Lenormand, but there's definitely some playing around that occurs in some of these decks, which is pretty cool. These two decks, this is the number 1901 and the 1904. These are very similar. One is a 36 card deck and one is a 32 cards. This is Piatnik number 1904. And this is, again, an interesting little playing card deck that has similar cards. We've got the widower, we've got the sweetheart that we saw, we have the officer, the baby, the widow and the widower, the judge. But it's very similar to what we saw in the Sibilla cards, but it is 30. This one is 32 cards, so we're obviously going to have some missing. We have desire, we have merriment, constancy, so we know these. Fortune, right? Hope. So these are very much similar in terms of Sibilla. We see crossed over with ones that we're going to see in Kipper as well. Letters, which of course show up in House, which shows up in both Lenormand and Kipper. But sadness cards, falseness, death, malady, anger. So we have more of those negative cards, but if you lay these two out, the same thing. If anything, it's skewed slightly to the positive cards, and then you have the neutral cards. So they're often seen as being more negative. The Gypsy Witch, you have to watch my walkthrough on that. It's not my favorite. That sometimes feels like it skews negative, but I don't think it, I can't remember when I broke it down. This one is similar. This is the Piatnik number 1901. And this is similar, but this has 36 cards. So again, you've got the lover, the baby, the officer, the sweetheart, the priest, or the oh my goodness, ecclesiastic, sorry, the judge, the widow and the widower, right? So you have all these people cards: fidelity, fortune, unexpected joy, constancy, marriage, gift, love, desire, merriment. This is very similar to the 1901 version, but now there are the the 1904 version, but in the 1901 version, you have 36 cards. Similar cards that you're seeing in Sibilla, similar cards crossing over with into Lenormand and Kipper type cards, but 36 cards. It feels very similar to these two, whatever these, Sibilla and this variant here, but you have a 32 card and a 36 card. These are both Piatnik, 1904 and 1901. And then you have, this is an interesting, just random variant that I have called the Eros Oracle. No playing cards, 32 cards, but it's all based on love. This is a little bit more of a modern card, right, where you have expectation, proffer, provocation, seduction, mischief, coyness, ogle, kiss, caress, taste, undress, whisper, so on and so forth, jealousy, indifference, boredom, embarrassment, guilt, fear, ecstasy, pleasure, dissatisfaction, dominion, submission, loss. So everything surrounding seduction and love in the more physical sense of the playing field, right? Just a little random low scarabeo deck there. So it's really interesting just to see how many, of course these are, you know, this is just literally the tip of the iceberg, right? So we have these playing cards, these are obviously playing cards, and then you just have this plethora of fortune-telling style decks that were just popping up everywhere. Some of them maintaining their connection to the playing cards directly, some of them going off and having the similar card numbers to the popular playing card decks, but not actually associating them. Some of them, like the Vera Sibilla, has lottery numbers at the bottom that would help you to pick lottery cards, lotteries there, and I think you can still pick these up and people use them for that as well. This was a little interesting variant. This is the Buckland Gypsy fortune telling deck. This is a 74 cards because it has a playing card style deck, and it has but just with the 3 courts, right? And then so it has just the these are not in order, but it has the Jack, the Queen, King, and the Queens. But then it has a 22 card major deck as well, but it is not the tarot majors, right? This is its own variant of a majors that is, you know, obviously based on this family tradition according to the, you know, to the write-up in the deck. This is that oftentimes Romani or Gypsy people would be using playing card divination, and then sometimes they would, you know, make up their own versions of the major arcana, and this would be an example of having a majors on top of the playing cards, and the playing cards are just straight up playing cards, except for the aces have, I think, a Vardo on it, and then the face cards have faces on here, but the rest of the deck is a oops, there's missing one of the majors. The rest of them are just typical playing cards, so you would read that as in terms of playing card divination, but then having that majors there. So that is an interesting treat there, a little variant. This I think was from '88. Sorry, my glasses are not on. This was put out in the '80s. I don't know if that was the first time it was put out or not, but that's an, you know, again, following that same tradition of how people would use playing cards and variants on playing cards for divination. And so it's just, it's such a fascinating area to me that I just get so much joy out of, that we continue this tradition, right? You know, my Nellie's deck that I'm working on right now is exactly that. It is a, you know, going back to this is what excites me, right? So it is literally a what do I have here? Oh, this is because I'm keeping this out because this is Lenormand. So this is a 52 card playing deck. You know, this is my deck. I'm done with the minors, and it has a fortune telling deck associated. It's got a full Lenormand deck, on my playing card choices, not on the traditional choices. And so it has the full Lenormand deck on there, put again where I would put them. But then I have filled in the rest of the 52 card deck with a full fortune telling deck, and as well as also having a 4 quart, so it's actually a 56 card playing card deck. But you can see there is a tradition for doing your own thing, right? Doing what works. So and that way then I also have the full set of majors, making it a full tarot deck, a full 52 card playing deck card deck, a full 56 card fortune telling deck. And this is the tradition that divination and cardamancy has come out of, and you know, we continue to play, and we continue to create, you know, in the end, this, which is, these are just the titles. So this is a working deck of mine, that's the titles. In the end, this is my perfect deck, right? It is a tarot deck, it is a playing card deck, it is a fortune telling deck. It has all of those things in one. This is my go bag, throw it all in to the bag, because everything that I need for divination exists in this one little deck. That's the whole premise. That's the whole reason for making Nellie's deck, because Hermes playing card and maybe Lenormand are almost perfect for me. They're perfect for me minus the majors. And so in the spirit of Buckland, I suppose, I'm creating my version of perfect in terms of cardamancy. And it's, you know, it's fun to keep the conversation alive, to keep creating. Divination, you know, has such a long and beautiful past of people picking up what is, this is adorable. My friend Deirdre of the Bags made me a mini bag for my, this is just a mini version of my Lenormand cards of Nellie's deck, so that I can do grand tableaus with it. But this little bag, just be still my heart, it just kills me. But anyways, I digress. You know, it's a long and rich history of picking up those things that are close to us and using them for divination. And that conversation doesn't stay back here in the past. It continues to evolve. People continue to pick it up and put their spins on it. And it's just amazing. I absolutely love it. I hope you've enjoyed this like little traipse through through cardamancy, and I will see you guys all later.